Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel.
Adaptation of plants. Adaptation means adjusting ourselves to the environment. Adaptation in plants. The biosphere of our earth consists of plants and animals living in different ecosystems. We have animals and plants. Each of these living things develop features that help them to survive under different physical conditions. Charles Darwin was a British scientist who laid the foundation of the theory of evolution and transformed the way we understand the world around us. We know we came from the ape. So this was described by Charles Darwin. Adaptation. The modification or development of certain body parts in plants and animals that help them to survive and flourish in their environment is termed as adaptation. There will be several changes physically to adapt to the environment. Adaptation helps plants and animals to survive in changing environment too. The natural environment in which an organism lives, feeds and reproduces is called its niche or habitat. Habitat means where it will live, reproduce and it will be adjusted to that particular environment. Various parts of plants and animals modify in various ways to adapt to their habitat. It can be a plant or animals will adapt themselves to different environment. Modification in plants. Plants modify different parts of their body in order to store food to survive under unfavorable conditions, like potato, carrot and others will develop. Climbers develop tendrils or twining stems for holding. Some plants develop serial roots from branches for extra support, like banyan tree. Some plants modify their roots for breathing. In marshy areas, these kind of plants can be found. Some plants like lemon develop thorns from the shoot. The plants like cacti leaves reduce to spines. Spines will be protecting them. Plants like rose have prickles that develop from the surface of the stem. These are modification into protective organs. That's how the plant will be protected from other animals. Terrestrial plants means the animals or the plants which lives on land are called terrestrial plants or animals. Here strong sunlight, high rainfall and green plants will be available. Waxy coating helps them to prevent dryness under the harsh sun. Evergreen forest, they do not shed their leaves and always remain green. That's why it is called as evergreen forest or evergreen habitat. Epiphytes are plants that grow on the branches of other trees. The aerial roots which help them to cling to the plant and also absorb moisture from the air. Plants in desert like cactus, here these plants are also called xerophytes. Xero means dry, phytes means plants. They will grow in desert, that is dry area. In order to adapt to the hot and dry condition, the stem develops into green and fleshy part that is thick and swollen as it stores water. They will be preparing the food. The leaves, to prevent loss of water, they are reduced to spines. Roots of xerophytes are usually long, penetrate deep inside the earth in search of water. You can see here it's very long, it will go inside in search. The shallow roots of cactus develop laterally to gather maximum water from the surface. The spines also protect the plant from being eaten by herbivores, because usually the plant eaters will be eating plants which will be found in that particular area. Plants in cold regions like fir tree, pine tree or subalpine fir trees are cone shaped. That's why these are also called as conifers. Why they will be in cone shaped? Coniferous trees are found in mountains, cold regions of the world. Here, most of the time, the snowfall will be there. The leaves prevents frosting because it will be needle-like. Preserve them from the harsh winters. The seeds will be inside hard cores in pine. Deciduous trees like oak and maple tree will be growing. An oak tree and a maple tree shed their leaves when it gets extremely cold. Aquatic plants, the plants which grow in water, are called aquatic. Water is complete ecosystem adapt to aquatic habitat in various ways. The plants and the animals will adapt to the water and develop certain features to adapt into water. These plants are called hydrophytes. Hydro means water, phytes means plants. As explained earlier, all these words are from Latin or Greek. Floating plant, submerged plant and plant with floating leaves will be there, or these are also called as fixed plants. Submerged plants will be inside water, floating plants will be floating on the water, whereas a fixed plant, their root will be fixed. Floating plants like duckweed, pistia and water hyacinth will be floating on fresh water. Especially in the pond or lake, you can see this. These will help to float on water, that is air spaces. The stem will be spongy body, because of that the air will be filled and they will be helping the plants to move. Roots will be loose. They have stomata on the surface of their leaves, that is above, because below it will be touching the water. Submerged plants will be inside the water. Freshwater plants growing fully under water, that is hydrilla or vallisneria, will be growing under the water. Vallisneria is also called as tape grass or eel grass. Here it is called eel grass because it looks like eelfish. These plants are fixed into the muddy areas. They have the narrow flexible leaves and stems. It will be very flexible leaves will be there. This helps them to bend in the direction of flowing water and not break. That's why they are very flexible. It can turn according to the waves. These plants do not have stomata and the surface of the plant is adapted to exchange of gases dissolved in water. They will be exchanging the gases which is dissolved in water. And in submerged plants, there are also one of the fixed plant is the water lily or lotus. Their roots or the bulbs will be fixed, but their leaves and the flowers will be floating. They have long stems that are rooted to the muddy soil and they have broad leaves. These stems are hollow and light, which helps their leaves and the flowers to remain above water. Their leaves have a waxy coating on the upper surface which prevents the collection of water. That's why the water droplets will not be collected and the leaves will not be rotten. The stomata are present on the upper surface of their leaves because underneath it will be touching. Need for adaptation in plants. Features of adaptation of plants on land with examples. Features of adaptation of plants in hilly areas. Features of adaptation of plants in desert. Features of adaptation of plants in plain area. Features of adaptation of plants in coastal area. Plants grow almost all over the world, either on land or in water. The plants that grow on land is called terrestrial, and in water it is called as aquatic. In terrestrial, high mountains, hot areas will be there, whereas in terrestrial, deep oceans and cold areas will be there. Apart from that, coastal areas is also a part of adaptation. Need for adaptation. Plants also need to adapt themselves according to the condition of a place. For example, plants of mountainous region or hilly areas are tall, so that plants can get plenty of sunlight and they can prepare their own food. Also, they will be healthy. That's why they will be very tall. Desert plants have deep roots and needle-shaped leaves. Deep roots help them to obtain water from depth. Needle-shaped leaves prevents the loss of water. You can see here, this is also one kind of cactus where the spines are, and also needle-shaped leaves will be, that is spines will be there, and if you dig and see the roots, it will be very deep. Plant habitats, the natural surrounding in which plant grows or animal lives is called its habitat. Here, in the habitat, plants growing in various places are adapted to the climate around them. They will be adapting themselves to that particular environment. Examples of habitat is like fish lives in water, camel lives in the desert, isn't it? We cannot change their habitat. They are adapted for their habitat. On the basis of habitats, all the plants can be broadly divided into two types. Which are those types? Terrestrial or land plants. Then second one is aquatic or water plants. Terra means land, aqua means water. Here you can see picture of plants in different habitat. Plain land, water, coastal areas, desert or cold mountains. So different areas the plants will grow. Adaptation of land plants. What are the adaptation you can find? The plants which grow on land are called terrestrial plants. Plants of hilly and mountain region, here it will be very tall. Plants in plain region, plants of coastal region, plants of desert region, plants of marshy areas, and plants of heavy rainfall area. So like this, in the terrestrial plants also we will be dividing into several areas or regions. Why we will be dividing it based on the region or the areas, the adaptations will be totally different. Characteristics of plants of hilly regions. What are the characteristics of plants of hilly regions? They are generally tall with cone shaped and have sloping branches. Like in pine, you can see they will be very tall and the shape will be triangle, isn't it? The leaves of these plants are needle-like, which help them to withstand cold and snow. They can bear the cold, the temperature, and they will not rot. The plants of these region do not bear flowers, but they bear cones. They don't have flowers, it will become hard flower-like. Their seeds grow inside the cones and thus called conifers or coniferous plants. You can see here different kinds of plants are there which will be in hilly or mountain region, and most of the time in snow. Pine, deodar, fir, spruce are some of the example of mountain region. Plants of plain region. What are the characteristics of plants of plain region? Let's see. The trees have lots of leaves with branches spread around. The leaves are flat and thin. They help in evaporating the excess water and keep them cool, because of which they can evaporate the water. Here, the stomata will be evaporating the water which is underneath the leaf. Extra water will be evaporated, and that process is called as transpiration. These plants of trees shed all their leaves mostly in winter. In winter, they will shed their leaves, and in the spring again, new leaves will come. Neem, peepal, shisham, and mulberry are the examples.
For such educational and informative videos, kindly like and subscribe. Please do press the bell icon to get the notifications on uploading new videos. See you in the next video. Thank you.